They say the most beautiful gardens hide the deepest rot. In the quiet suburb of Willow Creek, the Langridge estate's legendary Rose Garden, featured in Better Homes and Gardens in 1987, concealed something no magazine would ever print. 7 unmarked graves, buried beneath the very blooms that won awards. This really happened, and if you think roses can't scream, you haven't heard what the soil remembers. October 12, 1994, 6:03 p.m. The Langridge estate wasn't just a house. It was a landmark. White Greek columns, black shutters that never peeled. A wraparound porch where Mrs. Eleanor Langridge, in her cream cardigan and pearl earrings, served iced tea in Depression-era cut crystal glasses every Sunday after church. Neighbors called it the Rose House, not for its architecture, but for the 3/4 acre of meticulously groomed roses that framed it like a living oil painting. Crimson Glory, Mr. Lincoln, Peace, Double Delight. Varieties that won blue ribbons at the county fair. Year after year, kids in the neighborhood dared each other to steal a petal after dark. No one ever did. Not until 1989, when 8-year-old Danny Peterson vanished 2 blocks from the Langridge property. His red kid sneaker was found near the hydrangea hedge, laces still tied. Police searched for weeks. Dogs, drones, volunteers with flashlights. Nothing. The case went cold. Officially, it had nothing to do with the Langridges. Unofficially, people stopped walking their dogs past the iron gate after sunset. By 1994, the Langridges were local royalty, old money, polite to a fault, fiercely private. Charles Langridge, 68, retired circuit judge, known for his gavel that could silence a riot. Eleanor, 65, former head librarian at Willow Creek Public, who still corrected people's grammar at PTA meetings. Their daughter, Meredith, 32, assistant branch manager at Chase Bank, always in a crisp blouse and sensible heels. Their son, Thomas, 29, taught AP US history at Willow Creek High, popular, sarcastic, the kind of teacher who played Springsteen during the Vietnam unit. On the surface, a perfect American family, but houses have bones. And gardens? Gardens have memories. October 12th, 1994, 6:47. Pierre Meredith Langridge knelt in the east rosebed, the one they called the Queen's Corner, named for the towering Queen Elizabeth roses that bloomed pure white even in late October. She wore gardening gloves from Target, her hair tied in a messy bun, sweat beading at her temples despite the autumn chill. The sun was dipping behind the oaks, painting the sky peach and lavender. She'd been watering for 20 minutes, lost in the rhythm, squeeze nozzle, step, water, step, when the plastic grip slipped from her damp palm. The hose jerked, spraying her ankle before she caught it. "Damn it," she muttered, bending to retrieve it. That's when her fingers brushed something cold. Not a rock, not a root, metal. She paused, pushed aside a tangle of ivy creeping near the base of the trellis. There, half buried in damp mulch and tangled rose roots, was a small, tarnished locket, oval, filigree, the kind you'd find in a grandmother's jewelry box. Her pulse jumped. She dug it out with her nails, ignoring the sting of a thorn. The locket was rusted shut, but after a few firm twists, it popped open. Inside, a faded sepia photograph of a little girl, no older than 6, wearing a pinafore dress, hair in ringlets, smiling, but not happily. The kind of smile children give when told to look nice for the camera. Behind her, blurred but unmistakable, the Langridge porch. Meredith's breath caught. She'd never seen this child. Not in any family album, not in any yearbook, not in town records. She snapped the locket shut and hurried inside. Dirt still under her nails. October 12, 1994, 7:15 p.m. dinner was meatloaf. Green beans and instant mashed potatoes. Eleanor's Wednesday special, even though it was Tuesday. Charles carved the meat with surgical precision. Thomas scrolled through his Discman, humming Zombie by the Cranberries under his breath. Meredith placed the locket on the oak dining table. Silence. Eleanor didn't look up. "What's that, dear?" "A locket. I found it in the east bed, near the trellis." Charles set down his fork. "You were digging?" "No, it was half exposed. Meredith," Charles said, voice calm but edged with steel. "We don't dig where we're not invited," she blinked. "It's our garden." "Exactly," Eleanor said, finally meeting her daughter's eyes. Her gaze was cool, unreadable. and we maintain it. We don't excavate it. Who knows what old junk the previous owners buried? But there were no previous owners, Meredith said. Grandfather built this house in 1952, Thomas snorted. Maybe Great-Uncle Harold buried his moonshine stash. Funny, Meredith said. The girl in the photo. She's standing on our porch. That got their attention. Charles picked up the locket. I opened it, stared, then I closed it slowly. Old photograph, he said. Could be anyone. Could be a neighbor's child. Toss it in the junk drawer. Meredith opened her mouth to argue, but Eleanor cut in. Finish your meatloaf, Meredith. You've got that audit tomorrow. The subject was closed. October 12th, 1994, 11:47 p.m. Meredith couldn't sleep. She lay in her childhood bedroom. Floral wallpaper. Canopy bed stuffed bare on the shelf, staring at the ceiling. The locket sat on her nightstand. She'd tried to research the dress, the hairstyle, the locket's design. Nothing matched. No local archives, no yearbooks, no missing children reports from the 50s or 60s that fit. She tossed the covers off and padded to the window. The garden glowed under a fat, silver moon, peaceful, beautiful, silent. Then, the smell hit her, copper, thick, metallic, wet, like licking a penny. Like the scent after a nosebleed, she gagged, stepping back, then froze, because it wasn't coming from inside. It was rising. From the garden. She pressed her face to the glass, breath fogging the pain. And there, between the crimson glory and the peace roses, 7 dark rectangles of earth, perfectly measured, roughly 3 feet by 6. No flowers grew there, no grass, just bare, damp soil. She counted them. Once, twice, 7. Her hands trembled. She blinked, hard, and looked again. The patches were gone. The roses stood undisturbed. Moonlight glinted off dew-kissed petals. She exhaled, shaky. I'm tired. I'm imagining things. She turned away, reaching for her glass of water. When something outside moved, she whipped back to the window. Nothing, just shadows. Then, a whisper of motion near the trellis. Small, pale, bare feet. Gone before she could focus. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She backed away from the window. Fumbling for the lamp. Light flooded the room. She waited. Listened. Silence. She forced herself to peek again. The garden was still, but on her windowsill, just beneath the latch, were 3 small, muddy footprints, child-sized, barefoot. And outside, pressed into the soft earth just beyond the rose trellis, a single perfect handprint, small fingers, delicate palm, facing the house, as if someone had been standing there. Knocking. October 13th, 1994, 6:02. A morning came too soon. Sunlight streamed through the curtains. Birds chirped. A lawnmower droned 2 houses down. Normal. Safe. Meredith dressed quickly, avoiding the window. She grabbed her keys, briefcase, travel mug of Folgers. In the kitchen, Eleanor was flipping pancakes. Charles read the Willow Creek Gazette. Thomas shoveled cereal into his mouth, watching Good Morning America on the countertop TV. Sleep okay? Eleanor asked, not looking up. Fine. Meredith lied. She poured syrup, sat. I tried to eat. Couldn't. I'm going to take some photos of the garden today, she announced. For the Historical Society newsletter. Charles lowered his paper. Why? They're doing a feature on iconic local gardens. We're on the list. Eleanor smiled thinly. How lovely, Thomas grinned. Tell them the roses are fertilized with secrets. Meredith didn't laugh. October 13th, 1994, 4:33 p.m. She bought a Kodak disposable camera at Walgreens. I took 12 photos, 1 of each rose bed, 1 of the trellis, 1 of the spots where she'd found the locket, 1 of the areas where she'd seen the patches. She dropped the film at the 1-hour photo kiosk in Willow Creek Mall, next to the Orange Julius. Waited, drank a Coke. Flipped through a People magazine, picked up the envelope at 5:47 p.m. Back in her Civic, she tore it open. Photo after photo. Roses. Only roses. No bare patches, no handprints. No footprints, just petals, thorns, green leaves. Perfect. She stared at photo number 7, the trellis shot. Zoomed in. Nothing. She flipped to the last photo. the wide shot of the entire garden. And there, in the bottom right corner, barely visible, a blur, small, pale, like a child's shoulder or an arm, or she dropped the photos. Her hand shook. Why would anyone invent something like this? October 13th, 1994, 11:16 p.m. She didn't tell anyone. Not her parents, not her brother, not her best friend. Lisa, who worked the drive-thru at McDonald's and always asked, "What you thinking about, Mare?" She locked her bedroom door, set a chair under the knob, placed the locket in a shoebox under her bed. I tried to sleep. At 11:16 p.m., her bedside lamp flickered once, twice then. Died. Moonlight poured in. She sat up. I looked out the window. The garden was bathed in silver. Still quiet. Then, a giggle high, light distant from the rose garden. Meredith held her breath. Another giggle. Closer. Right. Beneath her window. She didn't move. Didn't blink. Didn't scream because pressed against the glass. Small. Smudged. And glistening with dew. It was a child's palm. Fingers splayed, as if waving. From the other side, they told her it was stressful, that the shadows were tricks of the light. The children don't press their hands against second-story windows unless they're alive and invited. But Meredith Langridge knew what she saw. And by the end of, October 1994, the house knew it too. This really happened. Ask the neighbors. Ask the pharmacist who filled her sleep aid prescription. Ask the developer who later tore up the rose garden and quit after 3 days, muttering about cold spots and whispers in Latin. The dead don't always stay buried, especially not beneath roses. October 14th, 1994, 7:08. A.M. breakfast was silent. Meredith sat at the table, spoon hovering over her Rice Krispies, eyes fixed on the back door, the one that led to the porch, then the garden. She hadn't slept. Not after the handprint, not after the giggle. She'd sat upright in bed until 4:30 a.m., knees drawn to her chest, a baseball bat from Thomas's old Little League days propped against the nightstand. Eleanor poured orange juice, Tropicana, pulp-free, into a glass etched with tiny roses. "You look tired, dear." "I didn't sleep well. Too much caffeine?" Charles asked, folding the Gazette with crisp precision. "Something like that." Thomas slurped his coffee, Maxwell House, mountain grown, and smirked. "Ghost in the garden keeping you up?" Meredith didn't answer. He laughed. "Relax. If there was a ghost, Dad would have sentenced it to community service by now." Charles didn't smile. He glanced out the window. At the roses, then back at Meredith. "You should see Dr. Patel," he said. "She's good with anxiety." Meredith clenched her jaw. "I'm not anxious. I'm observant." Eleanor set down the juice pitcher. "Observant people don't imagine children's handprints on glass, Meredith." The room went still. Meredith stared. "You believe me?" "No," Eleanor said gently. "But I believe you think you saw something." "That's different." Charles stood. "I have a deposit downtown." "Eleanor, don't forget the garden club luncheon." He left without another word. Thomas grabbed his keys. "Try chamomile tea, or a Xanax, or both." He winked. "Love you, sis." The door clicked shut. Meredith and Eleanor sat in silence. Then, softly, "You're not going mad, Meredith," Eleanor said. "But some things are better left undisturbed." Meredith opened her mouth. Eleanor held up a hand. "Eat your cereal. It's getting soggy." October 14th, 1994, 1:44 p.m. She called in sick. Told her manager at Chase she had a migraine. He didn't question it. She hadn't taken a sick day in 3 years. She drove to Willow Creek Public Library, sat at microfilm station. The three pulled up every newspaper from 1952 to 1965, searched for Langridge, plus missing child, Willow Creek, plus unidentified girl, Rose Garden, plus accident, nothing. She switched to birth and death. Records scrolled, paused October 17th, 1957. Obituary, Margaret Ellen Langridge, age 6, beloved daughter. Private service. Donations to the Willow Creek Rose Society in lieu of flowers. Meredith's breath caught. Margaret Ellen Langridge. She'd never heard the name. She printed the obit. Hands trembling. Flipped to the society section, October 24th, 1957. In loving memory, the Langridge family has dedicated a new rose bed, the Margaret Ellen White Queen, to honor their angel. The White Queen roses, the ones in the east bed, where she'd found the locket, where she'd seen the graves. She sat back, heart pounding. Why had no one ever mentioned Margaret? Not at Thanksgiving, not at Christmas, not in any photo album. She checked the family tree display in the local history room. Charles Langridge. Born 1926, siblings Robert, deceased 1989, Anne, deceased 1991. No Margaret, she asked Mrs. Gable, the 70-year-old reference librarian who'd known Eleanor since high school. Margaret Langridge? Mrs. Gable adjusted her cat eye glasses. Oh, honey, that's ancient history. The poor child drowned in the koi pond. Before your time. Before your father's time, really. Charles was just a boy, but her name's not on the family tree. Mrs. Gable lowered her voice. Some branches get pruned, dear, especially the ones that break your heart. October 14th, 1994, 8:31. P.M. dinner was chicken casserole, canned peas, dinner rolls from Pepperidge Farm. No one mentioned Margaret. No one mentioned the locket. No one mentioned the handprint. Meredith ate in silence. At 9:15 p.m., she went to bed. Actually, she sat at her desk, the printed obituary taped to her corkboard. Next to the photo of the blurred child in the garden, she wrote in her journal a spiral notebook from Staples' Margaret Ellen Langridge. Died 1957, age 6. Drowned. But in a koi pond? The pond's only 2 feet deep, and why bury her under the roses? Why no grave marker? Why does no one talk about her? Mom said, some things are better left undisturbed. What does that mean? What are they hiding? She closed the notebook, set her alarm for 3 a.m. She was going to watch the garden all night. October 15th, 1994, 3:13 a.m. She was awake, curled in her desk chair, wrapped in a fleece blanket from L.L. Bean, eyes fixed on the window. The garden was dark, quiet. The moon hid behind clouds. She sipped cold coffee, checked her Casio watch, 13. Then a creak from the hallway, not the house settling, not the wind. Footsteps, small, barefoot, padding slowly, toward her door. She froze, held her breath. The footsteps stopped, right outside her bedroom. Silence. Then, a soft tap, 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 knuckles on wood, child-sized. She didn't move, didn't breathe. The doorknob. Turned slowly, the chair she'd wedged under it held. Whoever, whatever, was out there. Couldn't get in. A sigh, then a whisper, so faint it might have been imagination. Meredith. Let me in. She clapped a hand over her mouth. Tears burned her eyes. The footsteps retreated. Down the hall. Down. The stairs. Then, the back door clicked open and closed. October 15th, 1994, 6 a.m. She didn't sleep at dawn. She crept downstairs. The back door was unlocked. She stepped. Outside, dew soaked her socks. She walked to the east rose bed. The white queen roses glistened. And there, between the third and fourth bush, fresh footprints leading from the porch to the center of the bed. Then, vanishing, as if whoever made them sank into the earth. She knelt, pressed her palm into the soil, cold, wet, and beneath her fingers, a faint vibration, like a heartbeat. October 15th, 1994, 4:22 p.m. She went to the drugstore, bought a digital voice recorder, Sony, the kind reporters used, bought infrared film, bought a lock for her bedroom door. The cashier, a pimply teen named Kyle, rang her up. Are you into ghost hunting or something? Research, she said. He grinned. Cool. My cousin says your family's house is haunted. Said his dog won't go near it. She paid in cash. Didn't ask for a receipt. October 15th, 1994, 11:07 p.m. She set up the recorder on her nightstand, propped the camera on the windowsill, locked the new deadbolt, wedged the chair under the knob, sat on the bed, waited. Midnight. Past where I am 2 a.m. At 3:13 a.m., the recorder's red light flickered on automatic voice activation. She held her breath. Silence. Then a sigh from inside the room. Behind her. She whipped around. Nothing. The recorder beeped softly. She hit play, static. Then, a child's whisper. You found my locket. Thank you. Meredith's blood turned to ice. She looked at the camera. The red light glowed. Recording. She waited until 5 a.m., played it back. The photo showed her room, her bed, her window, and, in the corner, near the closet, a pale blur, kneeling, facing her. October 16th, 1994, 8:48 a.m. She showed Thomas the photo. He stared, rubbed his eyes, started again. Okay, that's weird, not weird. Terrifying. He handed it back. Could be a double exposure, or lens flare. The voice recorder caught her too. He paused. Her? Margaret, my aunt, died in 57. They never told us. Thomas sat down. That's not normal. Even for them. They're hiding something. Something bad. He looked out the window. At the roses. Meet me after work. We'll dig. October 16th, 1994, 7:33 p.m. They waited until Charles and Eleanor went to the Rotary Club dinner. Meredith brought shovels from the garage. Thomas brought a flashlight, a tape measure, and a bottle of Jack Daniels. For courage. They stood in the east rose bed. Where? Thomas whispered. Where the footprints vanished. They marked the spot with garden stakes. I started digging. The soil was soft. Too soft. Like it had been recently. After 2 feet, Thomas's shovel clinked. Metal. They brushed away dirt, a small rusted box, engraved with a single word, Margaret. Inside, a child's bracelet. A lock of blonde hair, and a folded piece of paper. Thomas unfolded it. His face went white. What? Meredith asked. He handed her the note, written in faded blue ink. Child's handwriting. Daddy said if I tell, he'll plant me under the roses. I didn't tell. He planted me anyway. Meredith dropped the note. Thomas backed away. Holy shit. The wind picked up. The roses rustled, not from the breeze, from below, as if something was pushing up. Thomas grabbed Meredith's arm. We need to call the police. Before she could answer. The back porch light flickered on, silhouetted in the doorway. Eleanor, in her nightgown, barefoot, staring at them, smiling. You weren't invited to dig, children. They say houses remember. That walls absorb screams, floors memorize footsteps, and foundations cradle secrets like bones in concrete. The Langridge house remembered Margaret. And now it was remembering the others. This really happened. Police reports confirm the excavation permit. Meredith Langridge filed on October 17, 1994, later withdrawn under family pressure. The coroner's office still has the soil toxicity report from the East Rosebed. Traces of formaldehyde, arsenic, and human DNA not matching any living Langridge. And the basement? The one that didn't appear on any blueprints. Ask the contractor who vanished after installing the new furnace. He was the last to see the 7th door. October 16, 1994, 7:34 p.m. Eleanor didn't move. She stood, barefoot on the porch, white nightgown glowing under the porch light, hair loose and silver, hands clasped like a Sunday school teacher about to scold, but her eyes, flat, empty, like a doll's eyes behind glass. Thomas dropped the shovel. Meredith clutched the note. He planted me anyway, like a holy relic. Mom, Thomas said, voice cracking. What is this? Eleanor tilted her head. Dirt, roses, family history. Nothing more. The note says he planted her, Meredith whispered. Like, in the ground. Eleanor sighed, the sigh of a woman explaining taxes to a child. Margaret was sick, darling. Very sick. The doctor said burial near the roses would comfort her soul. It was a tradition, an old one. Since when do we bury children in the garden? Thomas snapped. Since always, Eleanor said softly. Ask your father. She stepped off the porch. The grass didn't crunch under her feet. It parted like it knew her. She stopped inches from them, smiled, put everything back. Wash your hands, and never speak of this again. Then she turned. I walked back inside. The door clicked shut. No lock, no warning, just silence. October 17th, 1994, 6:12 a.m. No. One spoke at breakfast. Charles read the paper. Eleanor sipped tea. Thomas stabbed his scrambled eggs. Meredith pushed oatmeal around her bowl. The note sat in her purse. The locket. In her pocket. She could feel them humming. At 7:03 a.m. She called the Willow Creek Police non-emergency line, asked for Officer Dan Reeves, her high school boyfriend, the one who'd kissed her behind the bleachers and later gave her a ride home when her car broke down. He answered on the second ring. Meredith, is everything okay? I need to file a report about possible human remains on private property. Silence. Then, the Langridge property. Yes, another pause. Meet me at Benny's Diner, 10 a.m. Don't tell anyone. October 17th, 1994, 10:07. Aunt Benny smelled like burnt coffee and bacon grease. Dan slid into the booth across from her. Still in uniform, still had that crooked smile, but his eyes were tired. You look like hell. I haven't slept in 3 days. She showed him the note. He read it. Twice. Whistled low. Kid's handwriting. Real. Old paper. Ink faded but legible. He handed it back. You dig yet? We found a box. Bracelet, hair, this note. Any bones? Not yet. Soil's soft, like it's been turned down recently. He stirred his coffee. Your folks know you called me? No. Good. He leaned in. Listen. I pulled the cold files last night after you called. Margaret Ellen Langridge. Official cause of death, accidental drowning. But the coroner's report? Missing. The pond inspection logs? Gone. And get this. Between 1957 and 1972, 6 other children vanished within a mile of your house. All between May and October. All near Rose Gardens. All unsolved. Meredith's stomach dropped. 6. Plus Margaret, 7, she whispered. 7 graves. Dan nodded. I'll get a warrant quietly. Meet me at your place tonight. 9 p.m. Bring shovels, cameras, and for God's sake, don't tell your family. October 17th, 1994. 3:33 p.m. She told Thomas. He paled. 7? Jesus, no wonder the garden smells like a morgue. We dig tonight. With Dan. Good, I'll bring my camcorder. And my dad's old hunting knife. Just in case. In case of what? He didn't answer. October 17th, 1994. 8:47 p.m. Charles. And Eleanor left for a charity gala in the next town over. Meredith watched their Lincoln pull out of the driveway. I waited 10 minutes, then texted Dan. Clear. He arrived in an unmarked Crown Vic. No uniform. Just jeans, a windbreaker, and a duffel bag. Thomas met them at the side gate. Basement's locked, he whispered. Dad's got the only key. We're not going into the basement, Meredith said. We're going in the garden, Dan nodded. Let's move. October 17th, 1994, 9:16 p.m. They marked 7 spots, based on the footprints, based on the patches Meredith saw, based on the way the roses refused to grow in perfect rectangles. They dug. First grave, shallow. 2 feet down, a small skeleton, female, age 5'7", wearing a rotting pinafore, clutching a porcelain doll's head. Dan bagged it. Tagged it, whispered into his recorder. Remains number 1, female child. Possible Margaret Langridge. Second grave, deeper. 3 feet, male, age 8 to 10, wrist bound with rusted wire, teeth marks on the radius, like he'd chewed his own arm to escape. Third grave, female. Age 4, plastic barrette still in skull. Fourth, male. Age 6, stuffed animals fused to ribs. Fifth, female. Age 7, school notebook. Last entry, Mr. Langridge says I'm special. He's taking me to see the roses. Sixth, male. Age 9. Shoelaces knotted around the neck. They worked in silence, sweat, tears, gagging on the smell, copper. Roses. At 11:03 p.m., they reached the 7th spot. Center of the garden. Beneath the oldest rosebush, a gnarled, thorn-heavy crimson glory that never lost its blooms. They dug deeper, 4 feet, 5. The soil turned. Black slimy cold Dan's shovel hit wood. They brushed it clean, a child-sized coffin, sealed with iron. Bands. Carved into the lid. 7 names. Margaret Ellen Langridge. Timmy. Reeves. Lily Chen. Danny Peterson. Rachel Moore. Joey Trent. And Thomas Andrew Langridge. Meredith screamed. Thomas staggered back. No, that's impossible. I'm right here. Dan's face went gray. Thomas, your birth certificate. Who signed it? My dad. Middle name. Andrew. Meredith grabbed the crowbar from Dan's bag, pried open the coffin. Inside, a skeleton wearing Thomas's Little League jersey, size 10, the one he lost. In '83, the one Mom said blew away in the storm, Dan whispered. This boy died in 1983, age 8. Thomas fell to his knees. No, I remember. I remember my 9th birthday. The cake, the bike. Meredith stared at him. Really stared. His eyes, his smile, the way he never got sick, the way he never aged in family photos. Oh my God, she whispered. You're not my brother. Thomas looked up, tears in his eyes, but his voice changed. Deeper, older, colder. No, Meredith, I'm not. October 17th, 1994, 11:47 p.m., the back door opened. Eleanor stood there. No nightgown now, black dress, white gloves, pearls, smiling. Behind her, Charles, in his judge's robe, gavel in hand. You weren't invited to dig, Eleanor said. Dan stood. Ma'am, I'm placing you under arrest for... Charles slammed. The gavel on the porch railing. Cracked. The sound echoed like a gunshot. No, froze. So did Meredith. So did Thomas. Or whatever he was. Eleanor stepped into the garden. I walked to the open coffin. Touched the skeletons. Skull, my first replacement, she murmured. Thomas Wonto'o died screaming. But the roses? They loved him. She turned to Meredith. You found 7 graves. Good girl, but you missed the 8th. Meredith shook her head. There are only 7. Eleanor smiled. Not under the roses, dear. She pointed at the house. At the bottom of the basement stairs. Behind the door that wasn't there yesterday. Meredith's blood turned to ice. What's behind it? Eleanor's smile widened. The one who's still alive. October 17th, 1994, 11:59 p.m. Dan lunged for his cuffs. Charles raised the gavel. Crack. Dan collapsed, not dead, not unconscious, frozen like a statue, eyes wide. Mouth open, mid-step, Eleanor clapped softly. Oh, Charles. Still got the touch. Thomas stood. His face flickered. One moment. Her brother. Next. A hollow-eyed boy in a rotting jersey. Then something older, darker. Smiling with too many teeth. He walked to Meredith, took her hand. It's time to meet the others. Sis, she tried to pull away. Couldn't. His grip was iron, cold, dead. He led her to the house, to the basement door, the one that hadn't been there yesterday. It was there now. Oak, iron handle, carved with roses, and behind it, a whimper, a child's. Sobbed alive, terrified, calling for help. They called it the replacement. Theory in the leaked FBI files, a handwritten addendum buried under unverified supernatural claims. The Langridges didn't just bury children, they replaced them. Took their names, their faces, their places at the dinner table, and let the roses feed on what was left. This really happened. Ask Dr. Lorna Hayes, the child psychologist who evaluated Thomas Langridge in 1984. She still has the tape where he recites multiplication tables in 3 different voices. Ask the coroner who autopsied the 7th grave. He quit the force after reporting teeth marks not matching any known human dentition. And ask Meredith Langridge, if you can find her. She was the last one to hear the girl in the basement whisper, You're next. October 17th, 1994, 11:59 p.m. The basement door breathed, not metaphorically. Meredith felt it. A slow, rhythmic pulse in the wood like a heartbeat behind oak and iron. The carved roses seemed to twitch. Petals curling, thorns lengthening. Thomas, not Thomas, gripped her wrist. His skin was cold, dry, like old parchment. Don't be scared, he whispered, voice shifting between her brother's laugh and something guttural, ancient. She's been waiting for you. Behind them, Dan Reeves stood frozen in the garden, mid-lunge, eyes wide with silent terror. Charles and Eleanor watched from the porch, smiling like proud parents at a school play. Eleanor stepped forward. Humming Rockabye Baby, she pressed a key into the lock. It turned with a wet click. The door creaked open. Darkness yawned, and from below, a whimper. Then a voice, thin and trembling. Meredith.
Please, don't let them take me!
Meredith's knees buckled. She knew that voice. It belonged to Lisa Tran, her best friend. Vanished after her shift at McDonald's. 3 days ago, October 18th, 1994, 12:03 a.m. No, Meredith choked. Lisa! A sob echoed up the stairs. It's me. They locked me in here. They said, They said I was chosen. Thomas shoved her forward. Go on. She's lonely. Meredith stumbled down the first step. The air thickened. Damp, coppery, smelling of wet earth and old perfume. The stairs groaned under her weight. Behind her, Eleanor sang softly, Hush, little baby. Don't say a word. At the bottom, a dirt-floored cellar. No light, only the glow from the doorway above. And in the corner, a child-sized cage. Rusted iron. Padlocked. Inside, Lisa died alive barefoot, wearing her McDonald's uniform. Torn and stained, her wrists were raw. Her eyes, wide, bloodshot, terrified. She lunged at the bars. Mir, run! Don't let them... Thomas appeared beside Meredith, snapped his fingers. Lisa froze, mid-scream, mid-lunge, like Dan's statue still, tears suspended on her cheeks. Meredith turned on Thomas. What did you do to her? He smiled. Preserved her. For you, a gift. Charles descended the stairs, robe whispering against the stone. Lisa was imperfect, too loud, too messy, but useful. She lured you here, didn't she? Come see the roses, Mir. Remember? Meredith's stomach twisted. Lisa had called her. 3 nights ago. You got to see what bloomed overnight. It's creepy beautiful. Bring your camera. She'd canceled. Said she had laundry. If she'd gone, she'd be in the cage or under the roses. Eleanor joined them, holding a silver tray. On it, a teacup, steaming. Drink, Meredith. It'll help you understand. Meredith backed away. What is it? Rose tea, Eleanor said sweetly. Special blend. Margaret's favorite. Thomas grinned. Don't worry. It won't kill you, just loosen your grip on what's real. Meredith knocked the cup from the tray. It shattered. The liquid sizzled on the dirt floor. Smoke curled up, smelling like burnt hair. Charles sighed. Stubborn, like your mother, my real mother. Meredith spat. Eleanor's smile didn't falter. Oh, darling, you are mine, blood and bone. But you were never chosen. Not like Margaret. Not like Lisa, not like Thomas. Thomas spread his arms. I was replacement number 3, died in 83, fell down the stairs, or that's what they told the neighbors. He pointed at Lisa. She's replacement number 8, or she will be. Once you say yes, Meredith stared. Say yes to what? Charles stepped forward. To become one of us. To tend the garden. To choose the next child when the roses hunger. Meredith laughed, wild, broken. You're insane. Eleanor shook her head. No, dear. We're curators. The Langridge bloodline carries a gift. We don't kill children. We repurpose them. Their fear feeds the roses. Their silence keeps the town quiet. Their faces, well, faces are easy to borrow. She touched Thomas's cheek. Aren't they, sweetheart? He leaned into her hand. The first few weeks are the hardest. Then, you forget your old name, your old life. You just bloom where you're planted. Meredith backed toward the stairs. I'm not staying. Charles raised the gavel. Then, you'll join the others. Crack! The sound hit Meredith like a physical blow. She staggered. The room spun. The walls melted. Not literally, but the stone bled into rose petals. The dirt floor sprouted thorns. Lisa's frozen face cracked into a smile. Not hers, Margaret's. And from the cage, a chorus of whispers. Stay. Bloom with us. You're already one of us. Meredith screamed, ran up the stairs, past Eleanor, past Charles. Out the door, into the garden. Dan was still frozen. The open graves yawned. The 7th coffin lay exposed, and the roses. They leaned toward her, reaching. Hungry. October 18th, 1994, 12:17 a.m. She didn't stop running, barefoot through the garden, over the fence, down Elm Street, past the 7-Eleven, past the Shell station. Her lungs burned, her feet bled. She didn't care. She reached the Willow Creek police station, slammed through the doors. Help! My family? They're the desk sergeant? Officer Ruiz looked up. Meredith? Jesus, what happened? She collapsed against the counter. They're not human. They replace people. Lisa's in the basement. Dan's frozen. Thomas is... Ruiz held up a hand. Calm. Too calm. Sit down, honey. Let's get you some water. He poured a Dixie cup, handed it to her. She drank. Halfway through, her vision blurred. The station flickered. Ruiz's face shifted. For a second, She saw Margaret, smiling. Behind the badge, Meredith dropped the cup, staggered back. You're one of them, Rui sighed. We all are, Meredith. Everyone who stays in Willow Creek too long becomes part of the garden. He pressed a button. The doors locked. The lights dimmed. From the holding cells, giggles, children's voices. She's here. The last Langridge. Bring her to the roses. Meredith ran for the back exit. Ruiz didn't chase her. He just smiled and whispered, The basement door is always open, Meredith. Even when you're not home. October 18th, 1994, 12:47. She. Hid in the woods behind the elementary. School curled under a slide, shivering, crying, her. Hands wouldn't stop shaking. She fumbled for her purse, found her wallet, her driver's license, stared at her own face. Is this even me? She pulled out the locket, opened it. The little girl smiled. But now, the smile was different, wider, knowing, and behind her, not the Langridge porch, the basement. Door, Meredith screamed. Through the locket, it hit a tree and vanished, not fell, vanished, like it was never there. She hugged her knees, whispered to herself, I'm real. I'm Meredith Langridge, daughter of Charles and Eleanor, sister of Thomas, employee at Chase Bank. I drink Folgers. I hate cilantro. I cried at E.T. I'm real. But the wind answered, Are you? She looked up. Through the trees, the Langridge house glowed on the hill. Every window lit. Every rose is blooming, and in the basement window, a small hand pressed against the glass. Waving Lisa's hand, smiling, waiting. October 18th, 1994. 1:03. Meredith stood, wiped her face. I walked to the road, thumbed a ride. A trucker in a Peterbilt. Stopped. Where to, kid? Anywhere but here. He nodded. Hop in. I'm headed to Chicago. She climbed into the cab. Sat I watched Willow Creek shrink in the side mirror. The roses disappeared. The house vanished. She exhaled. Safe. Free. The trucker turned on the radio. Static. Then, a child's voice. Clear as glass. You can run, Meredith. But the roses grow everywhere. The trucker didn't react. Keep driving. Smiling. His eyes flickered green in the rear view. Meredith didn't scream. She just closed her eyes and whispered, I know. They say if you run far enough, the past can't follow. But the Langridge roses didn't need roads. They traveled in smiles, in handshakes, in the scent of perfume on a stranger's neck. This really happened. The Chicago PD still has the 911 call Meredith Langridge made on October 22nd, 1994. Audio analysts later confirmed 3 voices layered beneath hers, a child humming, a woman whispering Latin, and a man reciting courtroom verdicts. Her Chase Bank manager filed a missing persons report when Meredith showed up to work wearing pearls she'd never owned, and humming Rockabye Baby while balancing ledgers. By then, the roses were already growing in the alley behind her apartment. And the thing wearing her face? It was waiting for the real Meredith to come home. October 18th, 1994, 6:17 a.m. Chicago smelled like diesel, stale coffee, and wet concrete. Meredith stumbled out of the Peterbilt at a Greyhound station on the south side, legs stiff, eyes raw. The trucker, Gary, he'd said, hadn't spoken since the radio whispered her name. Just handed her a folded $20 bill and a pack of Wrigley's gum. Good luck, kid, he'd muttered, eyes fixed on the road. She didn't thank him, didn't look back. She bought a bus ticket to nowhere. Next departure, please, and collapsed into a vinyl seat. Hugging her purse like a life raft, she slept, dreamed of roses pushing through floorboards, of Lisa's frozen scream, of Thomas's smile, not Thomas, peeling back to reveal teeth too long, eyes too black. She woke up screaming. Passengers stared. A grandmother handed her a napkin. You all right, honey? Meredith nodded, lied. October 19th, 1994, 11:43 a.m. She rented a room above a laundromat in Rogers Park, cash only. No ID. The landlord, a chain-smoking man named Sal, didn't ask questions. Just slid her a key and a stained mattress. Quiet hours after 10. No pets. No cooking in the room. She nodded, locked the door, showered until the water ran. Cold. Scrubbed her skin raw, but the smell wouldn't leave. Copper-dot roses. And, beneath it, something sweet like funeral. Lilies. She stared in the mirror, Her reflection stared. Back, pale, hollow-eyed, alive. Is it really me? She pinched her arm, flinched. I felt it. Real, she whispered. The mirror fogged. Words appeared in the steam. You're still ours. She screamed, slammed her fist into the glass. It cracked. Blood dripped. The words vanished. October 20th, 1994, 3:08 p.m. as she called Chase Bank, asked for Lisa Chen. Payroll, a pause. Then, Lisa who? Lisa Chen, payroll, short, glasses, always wear cat sweaters. Another pause. Ma'am, we don't have anyone by that name on the payroll, or anywhere. Meredith's throat tightened. Check again. She's been there 2 years. I'm sorry. No Lisa Chen. Ever. Meredith hung up. Sat on the edge of the bed. Lisa never worked at Chase. Lisa never existed, except she did. Meredith had coffee with her every Tuesday. Lisa cried when her goldfish died. Lisa lent her The Bridges of Madison County on VHS. None of that was real. She opened her wallet, her driver's license, her Chase employee badge, her library card, all real, all hers. But the photo on the badge, she squinted. In the corner of the frame, barely visible, a rose, red blooming behind her shoulder. She tore the badge off, threw it in the trash. October 21st, 1994, 9:33 p.m. She couldn't sleep. Every shadow moved, every creak was a footstep. She sat by the window, watching the alley below. A stray cat nosed through garbage. A drunk man sang off key. Normal. Safe. Then, a scent. Faint. Sweet. Roses. She leaned out. I looked down. At the base of the fire escape, a single crimson rose. Fresh, dew-kissed. Impossible. Chicago alleys didn't grow roses. She slammed the window shut. Locked it. Backed away. The scent followed her. October 22nd, 1994, 7:14 a.m. She went to the public library, sat at a microfiche terminal, searched Langridge plus Willow Creek plus missing persons. Found nothing. Searched Margaret Ellen Langridge plus obituary. Found it. October 17th, 1957. Same as before, but this time a photo. Tiny, blurry. Margaret, standing on the porch, smiling. Behind her, Charles, age 11, and beside him, a little girl. Dark hair, freckles, herself. Meredith, age 6, but she was born in 1962. Impossible. She printed the page. Her hand shook. A librarian approached. Everything okay? Meredith showed her the photo. Do I look like that girl? The librarian squinted, then smiled. Honey, you are that girl. Meredith's blood turned to ice. No, I was born in 62. That's 1957. The librarian patted her hand. Time gets funny when the roses are in bloom. She walked away, humming. Rockabye, baby. October 29, 1994, 1:06 p.m. She called Dan Reeves's cell phone, voicemail. Hey, it's Dan. Leave a message. She left 3, hung up, called the Willow Creek police station, asked for Officer Ruiz. Ruiz? He retired last week, moved to Florida. Since when? Since always, I guess. He was here, then he wasn't. Happens sometimes in small towns. She called her brother's house. Thomas answered. Meredith, where are you? Mom's worried sick. His voice, perfect. Her brother, warm, familiar. I'm safe, she whispered. Come home, we miss you. I can't. Why not? She took a breath. Because you're not Thomas. You're replacement number 3. You died in 83. Silence. Then, laughter. Not Thomas's laugh. Margaret's high, giggly, wrong. Oh, Meredith, you still don't get it. You're the replacement. The line went dead. October 22nd, 1994, 8:47 p.m. She packed a bag. Toothbrush, cash, the printed obituary, the cracked mirror shard, for protection. She'd leave Chicago, go west, Oregon, Montana, somewhere with no roses. She opened the door and froze. Standing in the hallway, herself, same jeans, same sweater, same tired eyes, but smiling, wearing Eleanor's pearls. Leaving so soon? The other Meredith asked. Meredith stepped back, slammed the door, locked it, breathed. Hallucination, stress, sleep deprivation. She opened the door again. The other Meredith was gone, but on the floor, a single red rose and a note. You can't run from what you are. Come home. The garden misses you. Mom. October 23rd, 1994, 12:03 a.m. She didn't sleep, sat with the mirror shard in her lap. I watched the window. I watched the door. At midnight, the scent returned. Roses, stronger. She crept to the window. I looked down. The alley was full of them. Hundreds, thousands, crimson, blooming from cracks in the pavement, from dumpsters, from the chain-link fence, and standing among them, the other Meredith, smiling, waving. Behind her, shadows, children. 7 of them, Margaret, Timmy, Lily, Danny, Rachel, Joey, and Lisa, all smiling, all waving, all whispering, "Come home." Meredith backed away, tripped, fell. The mirror shard cut her palm. Blood dripped on the floorboards. Where it landed, the wood darkened, swelled, and from the stain, a thorn, then a stem, then a bud. It's growing here too. She screamed, grabbed her bag, ran, down the stairs, out the back door, into the alley. The roses parted for her, like a curtain. The other Meredith stepped forward. Running won't help. You belong to the garden. You always have. Meredith raised the mirror shard. I'm not one of you. The other Meredith smiled. No. You're better. You're the keeper. The last Langridge. The one who tends the soil. Who chooses the next child. Who sings them to sleep before they bloom. She reached out. Her fingers brushed Meredith's cheek. Cold dead. Familiar. You were never Meredith Langridge. You were replacement number 7, the one who forgot, the one who ran. But the roses remember, and they're hungry. Meredith slashed with the mirror. The other Meredith's cheek split. No blood, just petals. Red, falling, smiling. You can't kill what's already dead, sister. Behind her, the children stepped forward, hands outstretched, singing. Hush, little Meredith, don't say a word. Papa's gonna buy you a rose garden. Meredith turned, ran blind, barefoot, through the roses, through the streets, through the screaming city. She didn't stop, didn't look back. She reached Union Station, bought a one-way ticket to Willow Creek. If I'm a replacement, then I need to go back to where I was planted. October 23rd, 1994, 6:17 a.m. The train pulled into Willow Creek. Fog clung to the platform. No one was there. No taxis, no buses, just silence and the scent. Roses. She walked. Past the Shell station, past the 7-Eleven, past elementary school. The slide was gone. In its place, a rosebush, crimson blooming. She kept walking. Up the hill, to the house, the Langridge estate. Every window is dark. The garden, perfect. No graves visible, no footprints, just roses, thousands of them. She opened the gate, walked to the porch. The door was unlocked. She stepped inside. Mom? Dad? Thomas? Silence. She walked to the basement door. It was open. She descended. The cage was empty. Lisa was gone. But on the dirt floor, a fresh grave. Small, rectangular, and on a wooden marker, carved in Eleanor's handwriting. Meredith Langridge, beloved daughter-keeper of the garden, 1962. October 23rd, 1994. She fell to her knees. Laughed. I cried. This was her grave. She was already dead. The door creaked shut behind her. Lock clicked. From the shadows, Eleanor's voice. Welcome home, darling. The roses missed you. They say the dead don't garden, but the Langridges proved otherwise. This really happened. The property records show Meredith Langridge still owns the house. Taxes paid annually in crisp, unmarked bills left in a rose-scented envelope at the county clerk's office. Neighbors report seeing her on the porch, every Sunday iced tea in hand, smiling at children who dare to peek through the gate. Police won't respond to calls there anymore. Private property, they say. No disturbances reported. But the children who vanish, their names still appear, handwritten, on the 7th grave marker. And if you listen closely, on still October nights, you can hear Meredith humming Rockabye Baby as she picks the next rose. October 23rd, 1994, 6:18. In the basement air thickened, cold wet, smelling of turned earth and funeral lilies. Meredith knelt before her own grave marker, fingers tracing the carved letters. Meredith Langridge, beloved daughter, keeper of the garden. She laughed, a broken, hollow sound. Beloved, you buried me alive. Eleanor stepped from the shadows, no longer in pearls, no longer smiling. She wore a black dress stitched with rose vines, her hair braided with dried petals. You were never buried, darling. You were planted. Charles followed, gavel in hand, robe replaced by a gardener's apron stained with soil and something darker. Thomas, or what wore his face, leaned against the wall, tossing a rusted trowel from hand to hand. Welcome to management, he said. Meredith stood. You're all dead, aren't you? Eleanor nodded. Since 1957, the first harvest. Margaret's death. It wasn't an accident. It was an offering. The roses demanded it, and they've been hungry ever since. Charles tapped the gavel against his palm. The Langridge bloodline doesn't end with death. It transfers. One keeper replaces another. When Margaret died, Eleanor took her place. When Eleanor's body failed in 78, she moved into the next vessel. And so on. Meredith stared at Thomas. You died in 83. And you in 91, he said gently. Don't you remember? The car crash, rain-slick road. You flew through the windshield. They buried you under the crimson glory roses. But the garden, it brought you back. Gave you a new face, a new life, a new purpose. Meredith clutched her head. Flashes, rain, headlights, glass shattering. Then, waking up in her bed. Mom said, you slept for 3 days, honey. Must have been the flu. No hospital, no funeral. No grief, just roses. She whispered, I died, and you made me forget. Eleanor stepped forward. Not us, the garden. It chooses who remembers, who forgets, who blooms. She placed a hand on Meredith's shoulder. Cold, heavy, final. The children you saw, the graves, the whispers, that was the garden waking you up, reminding you of your duty. Meredith pulled away. What duty? To choose. Charles gestured to the stairs. Come. It's time. October 23rd, 1994, 6:47. a.m. They led her upstairs. The house was different, dusty, faded, like a photograph left in the sun. The furniture, same, but older. The wallpaper, peeling at the seams. The air, thick with the scent of roses, and decaying. They walked to the front window. Outside, the garden. Perfect, glowing. And beyond the gate, a little girl, no older than 6, wearing a yellow raincoat, holding a dandelion, knocking on the iron gate. Hello? She called, voice sweet, clear. Is anyone home? I lost my puppy. Meredith's breath caught. That's Emily Walsh. She lives down the street. Eleanor smiled. She's the next one. Meredith backed away. No, I won't. Thomas blocked the door. You don't have a choice. The garden chose you. You're the keeper now. Charles raised the gavel. Crack. The sound didn't freeze Meredith. It unlocked something. Memories flooded in. Not of her life. Of her deaths. She'd died 7 times. Each time, buried under the roses. Each time. Reborn as a new Meredith, choked on a grape. Fell from the oak tree. Drowned in the koi pond. Hit by a car. Poisoned tea. Car crash. Ran too far. The roses called her back. She wasn't Meredith Langridge. She was the soil, the roots, the silence between screams. She looked at her hands, pale, cold, veins dark as rose stems. She whispered, I remember. Eleanor kissed her forehead. Welcome home, keeper. October 23rd, 1994, 7:03. Meredith walked to the front door. I opened it. The morning sun glinted off the roses. Emily waved. Hi, have you seen Mr. Snuffles? He's a golden retriever puppy. Meredith smiled, warm, maternal, inviting. No, sweetheart, but I have cookies inside. And lemonade. Why don't you come in and wait? Emily beamed. Really? Thanks, lady. She skipped through the gate, up the path, past the crimson glory, roses, past the peace roses, past the spot where 7 graves slept. Meredith closed the door behind her, locked, and Emily skipped into the living room. Your house is so pretty. I love the flowers. Meredith knelt. Would you like to see the most beautiful one? Yeah. Follow me. She led her to the basement door. Emily hesitated. Down there? It's where the magic rose grows. The one that grants wishes. Emily's eyes sparkled. Really? Cross my heart. Meredith opened the door. The stairs glowed faintly. Rose petals lined the steps. Emily skipped down. Meredith followed. At the bottom, the empty cage, freshly cleaned, padlock gleaming. Emily turned. Where's the magic rose? Meredith pointed inside the cage. Right there. But you have to go in to see it. Emily stepped in. Cool. Meredith shut the door, locked it. Emily's smile faded. Hey, why'd you lock me in? Meredith crouched. Because, sweetheart, you're not here for the rose. Emily's eyes widened. What? Let me out. Meredith stood, smiled. I'm sorry, Emily. The garden is hungry. She turned. I walked up the stairs. Emily's screams followed her. Let me out. Please, I want my mommy. Meredith closed the basement door. The screams muffled. Then, silence. October 23rd, 1994, 11:17 a.m. She made iced tea, served it on the porch in Depression-era glasses, wore a cream cardigan, pearl earrings, smiled at passers-by. Mrs. Gable from the library walked her poodle past the gate. Morning, Meredith. The garden looks lovely. Thank you, Mrs. Gable. New fertilizer. The woman waved. Didn't. Notice the fresh-turned earth near the trellis. Didn't. Hear the faint scratching from below. October 24th, 1994, 3:33 p.m. as she visited Lisa's grave. Not in the garden, in the town cemetery. Plot 47B. Lisa Tran. Beloved daughter, 1978-1994. Meredith placed a single red rose on the stone, whispered, I'm sorry. The wind sighed. The rose wilted, then rebloomed. Black petals. November 1st, 1994, 6:15 p.m. First frost came. The roses didn't die. They glowed, brighter, deeper, hungrier. Meredith stood in the garden, pruning shears in hand. Thomas joined her. You're getting good at this. She didn't look at him. It's in my blood. He handed her a thermos. Mom made tea. She sipped. Rose petals floated inside. She didn't gag. She smiled. Perfect. December 25th, 1994, 8:47 a.m. Christmas morning. No tree, no presents, just roses. Meredith sat on the porch, wrapped in a blanket, watching snow fall on crimson blooms. Charles joined her. First winter as a keeper. How does it feel? She sipped cocoa, laced with crushed petals. Like coming home. He patted her hand. Margaret would be proud. She looked at him. Really looked. His eyes, hollow, his skin, gray, his smile, stitched with thorns. She whispered, I miss being human. He chuckled. You were never human, Meredith. You were always roots. March 17th, 1995, 4:13 p.m. She found the, locket again, buried near the trellis, inside. The photo of the little girl, her own face, age 6, the year she first died. She pinned it to her blouse. I wore it every day. October 12th, 1995. 11:47 p.m. Own year later, to the minute. Meredith stood at her bedroom window. The garden glowed under the moon. 7 dark patches, 7 graves, and beneath them, 7 children singing. Hush, little keeper, don't say a word. Mama's gonna buy you a rose garden. She smiled. I opened the window. Let the scent in. Copper, roses home. She whispered back, sleep well, darlings. I'll choose the next one soon. Present day. October 12th, 2024. The house still stands. The roses still bloom. Tourists take photos. Neighbors smile. Children dare each other to steal a petal. None ever do. The county tax records list Meredith Langridge as owner. No death certificate. No obituary. Just payments. Every year, on October 12th, in a rose-scented envelope, the police won't go near the property. Private residence, they say. No complaints. Filed. But children still vanish. Emily Walsh. 1994, Tyler Mendez. 1998, Sophie Lynn. 2003, Noah Briggs. 2010, Lila Chen. 2017, Mateo Ruiz. 2022, all last seen near the Langridge Gate. All wearing smiles when they knocked. All holding flowers. All calling for help. All chosen. Final scene. October 12, 2024, 11:47 p.m. A new child stands at the gate. Boy, age 7, blue jacket, holding a stuffed bear. Hello?
My ball went over your fence.
Can I get it? The front door opens. Meredith steps out. Same cream cardigan, same pearls, same smile. Of course, sweetheart. Come in. I'll help you find it. She holds the door wide. The roses lean toward him. Hungry. Waiting. Behind her, in the hallway, 7. Shadows, children, smiling, waving, whispering. Welcome to the garden. Meredith takes the boy's hand. Cold, gentle final. She leads him inside. The door closes. The gate latch clicks. And from beneath, the crimson glory roses. A new patch of earth begins to turn. Soft, dark, ready. The Langridge Dynasty's dark secret remains. The roses bloom. The keeper tends. And if you hear a child humming Rockabye Baby near a garden gate, don't answer. They're not lost. They're chosen. And the soil is always hungry. The end.